Welcome back to Positively Port St. Lucie. I'm Sarah Prohaska, your Public Information Officer for the City of Port St. Lucie, again with Christina Ciuperger of the Communications Department. And right now we have Carmen Capizzuto, our Neighborhood Services Director, and he's here to tell us about a big project we have going on in the south, or that we have in the planning stages right now in the southwest part of the city.
Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me. Yeah, really just wanted to talk about a big project that we're undertaking. It's being actually spearheaded by Vice Mayor Martin, so I'm happy to be here to provide some input for the public.
So this is going to be a new district park.
Yes,
the rumor.
yes. Yeah, so the Neighborhood Services Department sort of took over the neighborhood planning implementation. Neighborhood planning is a process where we meet with the residents to ask them what makes their neighborhood unique, what would they like to see in their neighborhoods, and how can we just make living in Port St. Lucie better. So through that public input process, we learned that one of the specific sections of the city, the southwest area, I'm talking over off of Becker, Savona, I-95, that southwest region, is underserved by neighborhood parks. So one of the projects that we're here to talk about today is a brand new park in the southwest neighborhood,
And what
southwest area of the
district
city.
is this?
This is in Council District 3.
District 3, and again, that encompasses what you just described, that area, so that our listeners understand the parameter of where.
Right. And off the top of my head, I'm trying to think where the nearest park might be, and I'm thinking over by Darwin, the Whispering Pines Park.
That's probably. And then you
which
have,
is a major park.
Yeah, and then you have Jessica Clinton Park. That's more. That's still in District 3, I know, but no, that might not be in that's in District 4. Okay, then I can't think of another one.
Yeah. So. So we are doing a design build process. We're working with our Parks and Recreation Department, obviously, on this because Parks and Recreation will be maintaining the park once it's built. Why is it in the Neighborhood Services Department? Well, we oversee the neighborhood planning implementation, and the neighborhood planning program is funded by recycling proceeds from our Waste Pro contract. So the more residents recycle, the more money comes in for projects such as this.
And again, it just shows the partnership within the city departments as well, that, it's going to be a Parks and Recreation park because it's another park for the city. But, there's a lot of detail that goes into working with other departments to actually bring that to fruition. And it is a partnership with our residents as well, too. Very important. Those that recycle help us build these funds to be able to do these things for the community.
Right. So right now, I think the latest recycling stats, there are 75% of households are recycling, but only about 25% of businesses are recycling.
Oh.
So there's a lot of cardboard, there's a lot of plastic that's that's going in the garbage, in the trash. Unfortunately, if I'm urging the businesses to please recycle, because you can offset your garbage by your cost by recycling.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, not only that, but it benefits the city tremendously, and ultimately the residents, within the communities where we then have the opportunity to build a park and do things like this, and it only comes with their help as well too.
It makes sense. It's cost effective. It's good for the environment, and we get to do amazing projects like this.
Yeah. And where exactly is this one? This is going to be at Tulip, around the Tulip and Gatlin area, correct?
Not so much the Tulip and Gatlin area. This is going to be off of Edinburgh.
Oh, okay.
Calamar, which is a block or two north of Becker Road.
Oh, Becker.
So if you take I-95 and Becker Road, kind of in that little quadrant of the city down there.
Okay.
So it is a neighborhood park. It's not it's not like Sportsman's Park or some of like the bigger parks like Whispering Pines. This is more like an oak hammock park.
Nice.
Off of Del Rio and Villanova, Southwest Villanova Street.
So for someone that doesn't necessarily know what that means, like an oak hammock park, what will be in this park? What features will it have?
Well, it's a 13-acre site that we have. It's heavily wooded, so there's a lot of natural vegetation, a lot of natural buffer that we want to leave intact, and that's one of the important points I want to make today. Is we plan on taking this beautiful piece of property and keeping it as pristine as we can. So Oak Hammock Park, what does that offer, and what will this park offer? Trails, nature trails. It's amazing, even on a hot summer day, to just go and walk through a shaded area right in the middle of your city. I can't think of a better way to kind of cool off other than jumping in a swimming pool.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Lots of hiking trails. You can see a lot of wildlife, birds, so on and so forth. Open space. We want to have an open space where people can kick a ball, play catch, frisbee.
Picnic, enjoy
have
the
a picnic.
outdoors.
We are planning, and we're still in the design process here, and we're going to have a public information meeting, which we'll talk about. But we're planning this to also be a 1-acre dog park as well
Okay.
on the site.
Wow, that just made
Yes.
my ears perk up. No pun intended
Yes.
there.
Because a couple of years
For our
ago,
furry friends.
Parks and Recreation put in a dog park at Lingate on
Yeah.
the east side of town.
Very popular park, yes.
Very, very popular. And then if you don't live on that side of
Yeah,
town,
it's kinda
that's
far.
quite a haul to take Lucky, in the
Yeah.
car to the dog park.
Well, that too, and I mean, it's a huge trend because a lot of people, their pets are there, they're like their children, then it's so important to them to have a place because in some regular parks, dogs, might not be welcome because,
Yeah.
there is a lot of kid activity going on, but if there is a separate area for pets to really enjoy the great outdoors too, I know that will get utilized.
Absolutely, yeah. There should be something for everyone at this park. It's still in the design phase, so
Will there be playground equipment?
there will be
Yeah.
a small playground, standard restrooms,
Yeah.
parking lot, sidewalks connecting to the nearest major roads, that type of thing. So it's meant to where you could ride a bike to it if you live down there. You could walk to it. That's kind of what a neighborhood park means. Is it's
Yeah.
right in the middle of your neighborhood. It's a focal point for the community, and will just give a lot more leisure opportunities for people.
So tell us a little history of how all of the planning and everything sort of came to where it is today. Walk us through, how it all started, how we involved the community, and why we're doing this particular type of park there.
Okay. Yeah, well, the city's neighborhood planning process kind of kicked off in the summer of 2015 via a consultant, and it was being managed by the Planning and Zoning Department. Well, why is it necessary? Well, it's necessary because a lot of Port St. Lucie's a big area, right? Okay, a
We
lot
are
of
the
it.
third largest city now in South Florida. Pretty big deal.
Yes. A lot of it is kind of unnamed. It doesn't really have a distinct identity versus maybe some more well-known neighborhoods like Sandpiper is an established
Yeah.
neighborhood. If you say Sandpiper, we know exactly where that is. Torino's another one. I mean, those kind of people associate where they live by some of the major roads typically. So we're trying to then take that model where residents come together to kind of form their own neighborhood, and we're trying to replicate that throughout the city. So we're kind of like reverse engineering the neighborhoods in a way. We're asking residents to get together, come up with a name, an ID, a list of what we can do as funding becomes available to do improvements.
Okay.
And it also gives the residents a greater voice when there is a neighborhood concern. It could be a crime concern, a neighborhood watch concern, something like that. Or if there's just a general issue, they can call and say, hey, we're representing the Sandpiper area. And so now we know who our audience is,
Yeah.
and we can kind of help work with them directly.
Well, sure, and it creates that engagement as well too, because ultimately it's what's most important for them, and we want to partner with the residents
Yeah.
and the people in the community to make sure they get what they need, because they're the ones that are asking for it. So we want to listen, and so I think we've got an upcoming public info meeting coming up for this
Yes.
park as well too. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yes, I will. Okay, and before I do that, this park I want to mention, this site was identified back in 2002 as a neighborhood park.
Wow.
So here
So
we
it's been
are.
on the radar screen for a
Like,
while.
wow.
Here we are,
15
15 years later, and we're getting around to it now.
Yeah.
So I mean, funding's always an issue. I
Yeah,
mentioned the
sure.
recycling funds, so that was a beautiful thing that was able to make this happen. But yeah, this has been this is not something that just
And do you-
popped up.
Do you have a time line for when you think construction might begin?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
We want the park constructed by the end of this year.
Oh, great.
Which is a tall
Okay.
order, but
Yeah.
that's where the design build process is going to help us. Where design and build's a great way to build a park because you can kind of get input from staff and the community, and then we can focus in on what those important improvements are, and then construct them as we're going. So the public information meeting, that's why I wanted to come on today to talk about that because this is an important part of the process. There will be 2 public information meetings.
Oh, okay.
So the first one here is April 17th at the Port St. Lucie Community Center on Oroso from 5:30 to 7 p.m. So for that first half hour from 5:30 to 6, we just want the public to kind of come in, check out some of the exhibits, interact with staff, mingle with one another. And at 6 o'clock, we plan to have a brief PowerPoint presentation. Vice Mayor Martin will be there.
Okay.
As I mentioned, she's helping us spearhead this. And then we'll have some tables where people can, give us their comments or, write down comments in a suggestion box. And we'll take that back. We're in the process of hiring a design build firm.
Okay.
And then once we have that designer on board, then we'll have the second meeting.
Where we
Okay.
invite
So-
the public in. Again, this first meeting is going to be on April 17th from 5:30 to 7
It's about 7 o'clock.
at the community center on Air Row. So, and, you know, you can visit the city's website, www.cityofpsl.com. You can call Neighborhood Services. We'll be happy to give you information if anyone has any questions, because again, we invite the public to please come and join us and help us with this, because ultimately, this is their park and we want to hear, you know, what the public has to say. It's very exciting. I
Yes.
can't wait.
Yeah.
And it's a tall order by the end of this year. Wow, that's
Yes, it is.
that's amazing. So, you know, it's surprising how we can get things done quickly. And also, we want to remind businesses and residents to please recycle, because it's your recycling efforts that help to make this happen. And so we can't stress that enough, to please do that, because the more you recycle, the more our entire community can benefit from
True.
this. And so it's just a simple thing that we could do to help raise a lot of funds.
For all these great neighborhood projects, I know the recycling funds go toward the traffic cabinet wraps also that your department has been working on. So another
I'm
great
sure.
thing, just to add character to our community.
Our residents are
Yeah.
probably seeing more and more of those popping up throughout the community, because I think we have like 23 of them. I
Yeah,
think
at
about
least.
23 of
They're
them
going
wrapped now.
I notice a new one every time I go driving, it
I
seems
love
like.
it.
So, yeah.
Because you're stuck at a red light and you have
Yeah.
something beautiful to look at, and I know, because Secret Birdies have told me that there are other communities that are now replicating what we're doing, because they are popping up in other places as well too. So that's also nice to know, is that we're sort of setting a best practice that other municipalities can sort of then replicate, and that's a nice thing.
Absolutely.
All right.
Well, thank you so much for joining
My
us.
pleasure.
We really appreciate it,
Yes.
and we look forward to having you back again soon.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Carmen.
We'll be right back after these messages.